And hello and welcome to Arts and Entertainment. I'm Deborah Gilbert, your host, and as always, it's so great to have you. Thank you for tuning in, and I hope you enjoy the show, where we're going to highlight a wonderful theater called the Ivoryton Playhouse, which is based in Ivoryton, Connecticut. And I have the pleasure of having back Ben Hope, the executive producer, as my guest. And Ben, thank you so much for coming back. We appreciate it.
I'm always happy to be here. Thank you so much.
It's so wonderful to see you again. Thank you so much.
Same. It's my pleasure. And thank you to your viewers and your staff. Everybody's just always so amazing here.
And what we were talking about, which you probably remember, is what I like to do is introduce the guest to the viewer. If you don't mind telling us about your background again.
Of course. Like you said, I'm the executive producer at the Ivoryton Playhouse. It's my third year in the role, essentially. And before that, I was an actor for 20 years, mainly in theater, and also a musician and a director, and you know, wore many hats. And so it's our pleasure now to be here in Ivoryton, working with the Playhouse.
Let's go back to your growing up. You're mentioning as an actor. Did you know as a young person that that was what you wanted to pursue?
I did. I was very fortunate to have a really supportive family around me. When I was on the high school basketball team, and I remember very distinctly one morning, I grew up in Alabama, and I was on the high school basketball team, and one morning over breakfast, I told my father, I said, you know, I'm thinking that I might want to quit the basketball team. And he said, you know, okay, that's okay. And I said, I really want to get a pair of tap shoes. And, you know, my father kind of took a moment to consider that and said, yeah, okay, yeah, no problem. And the next morning he went to our high school drama teacher and he said, hey, you guys have a booster club? And Roy Hudson, who was our professor at the time, said, I don't know what a booster club is. My dad said, a way to raise money for the theater, the way the football team raises money for the football stadium and all this. And Roy said, no, I don't think we do. And my dad said, well, you got one now. And so he started raising money, and he was just an amazing guy, and that kind of support, I was really lucky to have that. And now that public high school has now turned into an arts magnet high school, mainly for performance. And they still give the Bud Hope Award for Excellence in Theater, who is my dad. They still give that award annually. In his name.
That is really so cool. Wonderful to hear. Yeah. Congratulations.
Thank you. He was just an amazing man. We lost him 2 years ago. But
I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, it's okay. But it was that kind of support, I think, allowed me to really pursue my passions and my dreams, and it led, you know, all the way up to Broadway. I was on Broadway from 2012 to 2015.
What did you do on Broadway? People love Broadway, so tell us what it was like.
It was amazing. I was in a show called Once that was about an Irish musician who's kind of down on his luck, and he meets a girl by chance, and they kind of end up really, I think, changing each other's lives through their music, and they're a bit star-crossed in their love life, but they are important people in one another's lives in terms of their music. And it's just a beautiful story, and it was a gorgeous show. I was so lucky and fortunate to be able to be a part of it. And then also 3 years of it, 3 years, 8 shows a week, plus rehearsal, and you know, you kind of end up really living at the theater. And so it can also be a grind. There were ups and downs, but you know, it was a dream come true. I was really fortunate to be a part of it. We won 8 Tonys. We were nominated for, I think, 12, and we won 8 Tonys. So it was just, you know, it was such an exciting time. And I was, you know, hobnobbing with Tom Hanks, and, you know, I just like met all kinds. I met Sting. Sting came backstage one day and was like, I really like your falsetto. And I was like, I like your voice too, Sting. You also sing really well. So it was that kind of thing. It was such an exciting time in my life, and I was really fortunate to be a part of it.
Let's talk to the actor that's listening to us now that would like to follow your path. You went through as an actor and then auditioned for Broadway. What was that like? I
did. It was intense. You know, I think most performers know that your real job is finding a job. Like your real job is auditioning, and you're mostly on vacation when you're kind of under contract for something. That's when you feel less pressure, and you get to do the thing that you love to do and the thing that you trust yourself to do. It's auditioning that's the hard part, and that's 90% of the work is auditioning. And so I went in. in September of 2011, I had my first audition for the show. I didn't have agents or anything, so I went into just a kind of general Actors Equity principal audition. They were looking for understudies. And so I went into the room and I auditioned and I played a song on my guitar, and then they called me back 2 weeks later and I went in for that audition with a guitar and a mandolin. And they called me back after that audition and I went in with a guitar and a mandolin and a banjo. Oh. And they called me back a fourth time and I went in with a guitar and my mandolin and the banjo, and they had a drum set. And so I played those 4 instruments. And then the fifth time I went in, I played the bass also. And the sixth time was my final audition. And I don't remember what other instrument I played. Oh, it was a ukulele. I played the ukulele as well. And so it was, it was like all of these things felt like everything I had done in my life was leading up to this thing, because every time they said, could you come back and can you do this? I was like, actually, weirdly, I can do that. I can play the bass. I do play the drums. Like everything about it felt so like kismet. Like everything about it seemed so a little predetermined. And so it was thrilling, and it was anxiety-inducing. And by the time you get to the last audition, the full team is that, you know what I mean? It's the director and all of the producers and the music director and the choreographer's assistant and all these people. And so at your first audition, you're in there with just a casting assistant. It's like you and me. And so it feels in some ways a little more awkward, but way less pressure because you're just in there with one person. But by the time you get into the room with 20 or 25 people, it feels really, you can see the potential. You know that you're close, but it's also, it's quite frightening. And so, it's what actors do. I think it's what actors do. I think most actors watching would probably know that they would have a similar experience. And so you just have to keep doing it. Keep doing it.
So you finished Broadway. What did you do from there?
I did. My wife was on a Broadway tour while I was on the show in New York. And before that, we had worked at, dozens of regional theaters, and we'd worked all over the country. And but we spent all of that time apart. We got engaged and we got married, but she was on the road, and she was in Tokyo and in Canada, and like she was all over the place. And I was just in New York, and so we really felt like that was keeping us separate in a lot of ways. And we wanted to focus our careers more on nurturing our relationship and not being divided by our careers. And so we started reaching out to theaters that we were familiar with and saying, hey, we can direct and star in and cast and do all these things for this one show that we're very familiar with, a show like Ring of Fire, for example. We bought some costumes and wigs and all the things that you might need to produce that show, and we had all the friends that we knew were excellently talented and could be in that show, and so we directed and music directed and costumed, and I designed the sets, and you know what I mean? And so we kind of built these little packages that we could reach out to people and say, hey, we've got this thing. If you plug it into your season, it will be cheap, and you can focus on all the other things in your year, because we can just kind of take this off your plate. And that worked really well for us for a while. We were able to work together, which was the most important thing. And second to that was we wanted to really prioritize working with people who we respected, that we loved to be around, whose talent we wanted to kind of help put out into the world. Because we just knew so many talented people that we wanted to work with and to kind of help nurture their talent. And so that was kind of where we transitioned after those kind of bigger contracts. And that led us to producing, which we really enjoyed doing, and that led me to grad school for arts administration. And that led me to Ivoryton Playhouse and the executive producer role.
Executive producer role, yeah. How is it to juggle all of the theatrics, if you will, and go to school? Plus you had a family.
We had babies, yeah. I got accepted. I went to grad school online through Southern Utah University, and they have an amazing program, in-person, an MFA in-person program that's highly ranked. But the same curricula and the same professors teach the online version for like a quarter of the price.
Right, right.
And you don't have to relocate to Colorado to do it. And so I was really lucky to get into that program, but my wife had just given birth to our daughter when I got accepted, or I think, no, she had not quite yet given birth to our daughter when I got accepted into that program. And so we were on the road for 10 months. We had a brand new baby. We were doing shows that we were directing and starring in, and then I was also going to school at night. And it was exhausting. It was very tiring. We were working really, really hard. And I still say to Katie that I did not earn that degree. The both of us earned that degree because it took an equal amount of work on both of our parts.
Well, let's hold that thought and we're going to take a break, okay?
Sure, no problem.
Okay. I'm Deborah Gilbert. You've been tuned in to Arts and Entertainment. We're going to take a break and we'll be right back.
Dad?
Just 1 minute, okay?
Hey, Bobo, do trees tell each other stories?
I'm sorry. I'm afraid I don't know that.
Hey, why don't we go find out? Listen.
Do clouds take naps?
I couldn't tell you.
Can birds draw pictures?
I don't have an answer for that.
Dad, do stars visit their friends?
Look!
And welcome back to Arts and Entertainment. I'm Deborah Gilbert, your host. And as always, thanks so much for being here. Hope you enjoy the show. My conversation continues on with Ben Hope. And Ben, what we were talking about during the break is the Ivoryton Playhouse. So why don't we take some time and talk about the theater? That's where you're at. Tell us about Ivoryton Theater. Some people will say, I've been there, I haven't been there, I've heard about it, I haven't heard about it. Tell us what it's all about.
Yeah, the Ivoryton Playhouse, the building itself was built in 1913 over in Ivoryton in the township of Essex. And so it's still standing 113 years later. The Playhouse, Ivoryton Playhouse, has been self-producing theater now for 95 years. So it's a real honor and a pleasure for us to be here and be a part of that legacy. What we focus on is bringing professional, high-caliber, casual experiences in live entertainment for this region. And so I think the thing that makes Ivoryton Playhouse a valuable cultural gem, not only here in the shoreline, but also I think for Connecticut as a whole and for the East Coast really, is that we have such access to talent out of New York and out of Boston and even locally here. The show we're running currently has 3 extraordinary local artists in it out of 10 cast members. And so we're able to highlight local talent, we're able to highlight regional talent and world-class talent all together in a really intimate setting in a 250-seat theater in a historic building. And we want to be a theater that everyone can attend. You don't need a tuxedo. You don't need to, you don't need to attend the opera. We want it to be a casual, accessible, welcoming place that's warm and always there for the community.
How did you find the Ivoryton Playhouse, or did they find you?
I worked here. It was the first contract I worked after Once closed in New York. The first contract I did after my Broadway run was at the Ivoryton Playhouse with my wife, Katie. She was playing Tammy Wynette, and I was playing George Jones in Stand By Your Man, the story of Tammy Wynette. And we loved it here. We felt immediately like it could be an artistic home for us. We met in 2005, 20 years ago. We met as apprentices at a theater in North Carolina that's very similar to the Ivoryton Playhouse, a historic space that's been there for decades. That's a real gem of their community, a real cultural beacon in that community. And both Kate and I always knew that we wanted to one day end up at a place that was similar. And so I think we've really found that here at the Ivoryton Playhouse.
Your title, executive producer, what is it that you do daily basis, or the overall responsibilities?
It's a great question, and sometimes I ask myself the same question. But I look at it now, having done it for a few years. I think I personally look at the role of a producer as someone whose sole responsibility is to find artists that they believe in and stories that they think are important to communicate, and then helping those artists tell those stories to the best of their ability. And it's a real pleasure to be able to do that, to find these incredible young artists that are probably pre-Broadway. You know, they're early in their careers, a lot of them, and we're gonna see, you have the opportunity to see them kind of before their big breaks. And then also artists that are coming off of Broadway, like I was, people that have been experiencing the capital market of the arts and are looking for more of a richer cultural experience in that, getting back to the roots of why we all became performing artists in the first place. And so it's it's both of those things coming together in that intimate setting that I think makes Ivoryton just such a special place. And so as a producer, I build budgets for the shows, and I try to make sure that we're staying within those constraints. I negotiate all the contracts with agents and with actors, and I negotiate a lot with the Actors Union, who we work with and are so grateful for our ability to work with artists who are connected to the Actors Union. And our agreement with the union requires that at least 50% of the people that we hire in our shows are union performers. On average, we hire about 70% rather than 50%. It's my pleasure to get to do that work, to get to negotiate those contracts and get to bring in those artists, to get to cast. I help with the casting as well. And so I do a lot, and I do a lot of things across the board, and some of them are artistic things, and some of them are kind of pencil pushy things. But at the end of the day, I feel my responsibility is to the artwork that we're putting into the community.
Tell us about the play that is happening now. You're involved in that, is that correct?
Yes, I directed this show.
Okay.
And it's near and dear to my heart because it was one of my first professional shows. It's called Hank Williams' Lost Highway. It is the story of the iconic American country singer Hank Williams, who's an Alabama native, as I am, and his remarkable and tragic story as kind of the godfather of the country music genre, whose music really fused blues and bluegrass and gospel and all these things into something that's kind of new and uniquely American. But also his struggle with his own demons. He suffered from a lot of pain from spina bifida and so subsequent kind of drug and alcohol abuse, and then his untimely death at the age of 29. And the show chronicles his rise and fall, but it also I think celebrates his incredible catalog of songs that I'm sure all of your viewers would recognize, probably half at least of these amazing compositions, like Your Cheatin' Heart, Hey Good Lookin', Jambalaya, I'm So Lonesome I Could Cry. I mean, just some of the greatest country songs ever written. So it's an amazing show. The cast that we put together is just kind of ridiculously talented. They're all actor musicians. The guy that we have playing Hank Williams actually is from Connecticut. He lives in New York now. His name is Morgan Morse, and his first professional show was 10 years ago at the Ivoryton Playhouse in Stand By Your Man, the story of Tammy Wynette.
Isn't that amazing?
That's where we met. He's a remarkable musician, a phenomenal actor. He's doing such a great job with the role. And so we're so pleased to have him back at the Ivoryton Playhouse after him growing up around Ivoryton Playhouse and his original kind of professional show being just 10 years ago. So that's exciting.
Okay, your 2025 schedule is here. Tell us what is now we're in April of 2025. What's happening the rest of the year? I know it's here, but maybe some of my viewers can't see that.
Yeah, sure, no problem. So we've got Hank Williams until the 27th of April. It really is a must-see, in my opinion. I know I'm partial, but it's just it's a beautiful show, it's a beautiful story, and the music is amazing. Coming up next is Tea at 5, directed by our very own Jacqueline Hubbard, who is our executive director director at the Ivoryton Playhouse. Tea at 5 is a one-woman show about Katharine Hepburn, the local legend.
Oh, yeah.
It's set in her Fenwick home. Act 1 takes place when she's in her late 20s or early 30s, and Act 2 takes place about 20 years later, when she's been put through the ringer of Hollywood, so to speak. And so it's a really interesting glimpse into her world. The actress that we've hired to play Katharine Hepburn is going to be astonishing. She's wonderful, and so we're really looking forward to Tea at 5. It runs May 15th to June 8th. After that, we have Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat, which I'm sure a lot of people are probably familiar with. But it's just such a fun, high-energy show. We're really looking forward to that. Our Associate Artistic Director, Todd Underwood, is directing that production. And it runs June 26th to July 27th. And following Joseph, we have My Fair Lady, which is also just in the, I think, top tier of musical compositions in the musical theater canon. It of course is the story of based on the story of Pygmalion, and it runs August 7th to September 7th. Brian Fian is directing that show. He's kind of a regular around the Playhouse. He directed a lot of things last year and over the last couple of years. He's a great director. We've already put together a stellar cast for My Fair Lady as well, so we're looking forward to that one. Following that is a show called Incident of Our Lady of Perpetual Help. That show is a hilarious comedy. It's kind of a coming-age story of a Catholic girl in her early teen years who has a bit of an embarrassing situation unravel in front of her family and her priest and her schoolmates, and it's just kind of everything kind of gets out of control. It really is a lot of fun. I think people are really going to like it. It's a hilarious good time, and we're really looking forward to Incident as well. And then from November 20th to December 21st, we have the Playhouse Holiday Jamboree, which is going to be a homegrown Christmas celebration that is kind of in the live radio tradition of like the Grand Ole Opry and A Prairie Home Companion. We're putting that together ourselves. So it's going to be a lot of music. We've already got some really exciting actor musicians on board for that show as well. So it's coming together nicely. It's going to be a really festive and fun time.
What I don't want to forget is the website, ivorytonplayhouse.org.
That's right.
What will the viewer find when they visit it?
You can find a lot of information about who has appeared on our stage in the last 95 years, and that list really is incredible. And it includes Katharine Hepburn and many other stars and starlets from the golden age of Hollywood all the way to Broadway stars in recent years. And they can also find access to tickets. You can read more about becoming a member, which we highly recommend people do. Membership helps us maintain our historic building. You can call the box office and get subscriptions. We have 3-show and 6-show subscriptions available, and we encourage people to do that. You get to choose you get to keep your seats, so you can sit in the same place every time for every show. And there are other perks that come with being a member and being a subscriber. So you can read about those things on the website as well.
You've mentioned actor, director, producer, executive producer. How has it been for you as you have aged to be able to juggle all of these roles still to this day?
Yeah, it's a great question. I love performing, and I still try to do it when I can. But I also think it's important that I don't take away too many artistic potential, I don't want to rob other artists of the work that we've got available at the Playhouse. So I try to choose very carefully when I'm going to be on stage and even when I'm going to direct and that kind of thing, because I do feel like it's my responsibility to leave as many opportunities as possible to the other amazing artists that we've got in the region and on the Eastern Seaboard.
We are starting to slowly run out of time.
Yeah.
What's the future look like for the theater? We're in 2025. Have you thought about 27, 28? Do you have like a 5-year plan?
We do. We're looking forward. We're already putting together next year's season. Next year is the SemiQ, the Semi-Quincentennial, which is the 250th anniversary of the signing of the Declaration of Independence. So next year we're already trying to put together some programming that will highlight American stories, American heroes, and celebrate commemorate the 250 years of American independence. So we're really looking forward to ironing that out and kind of solidifying that season, because I think it's going to have a lot to offer. And yeah, we have a lot of amazing things, I think, on the horizon. The Ivoryton Playhouse is in such a wonderful position to after the contraction from COVID and the pandemic, we're slowly starting to be able to grow and to really thrive again. And so the future of the Ivoryton Playhouse is very bright. We've got a lot of exciting announcements coming down the line. And of course, we've got our eye on that 100th year of producing 5 years from now, which I know will be a big blowout. We're really looking forward to getting there.
Okay, we've just about run out of
No
time.
problem.
Any closing thoughts for the viewer?
No, I'm always grateful to be here. I'm so grateful to your viewers, and I hope you come out and see us at the Playhouse. Come see Hank Williams, come see Tea at 5. Those things are happening soon.
Okay, well, thank you very much for coming back and being with us. We really appreciate it.
Thank you. It's always my pleasure.
Okay. I'm Deborah Gilbert. You've been tuned in to Arts and Entertainment. In case you need to reach me, I'm at artsandentertainment@mail.com. Well, I hope you have a super day today. I really hope you've enjoyed the show. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'll see you next time.